This is my upcycling origin story. I was thinking the other day back to when I started upcycling and why. I realized it was almost 25 years ago. And at the time, there was not much of a sustainability conversation going on. Sustainable fashion was still boring hemp clothes and a little bit of a hippie niche in fashion. And also, I think at the time, at least in my memory, we thought when we donated things to the thrift store that it went to a good home. But now we know better. Hi, my name is Matilda and welcome back to Miss Matti. Here on this channel, I share everything about how to live an awesome, creative and sustainable life, and that also includes upcycling clothes. So why I started upcycling was of completely different reasons than sustainability. It was really that I was a teenager on a limited budget who wanted to express my personality through my clothes, and often I could not find what I was looking for in clothes stores or in fabric shops, so I turned to upcycling. And I was also mainly upcycling from my own wardrobe. I do not know about you, but I found when I was a teenager that my style shifted way faster than it does now, and I adjust my clothes to fit my new style. I had to resort to upcycling what I already had. At the time when I was thrifting, I was mainly thrifting for things to wear as is. I really rarely thrifted to upcycle. So what I did was I took a lot of pieces from my wardrobe that I was no longer vibing with and then updated them to fit my personal style better. Sometimes I saw things in fashion magazines that I wanted, and either I couldn't afford it or I couldn't find it. And sometimes I also saw things in stores that I wanted to recreate. So what I often did was I would try to recreate those styles by using what I already had. As I already had decided to become a fashion designer, I was also drawing a lot of my own designs at the time. And I really wanted to turn my own designs from idea to reality. But I couldn't really find any good fabrics in my local fabric store. To be honest, the selection where I grew up was really lackluster, and as far as I know, it is even worse today in the area where I grew up. I think partly why I became a knitwear designer later on is that I was always imagining these very specific fabrics in my head, and then I could rarely find them in any fabric stores. And I know some fashion designers work very differently, where they get inspired by looking at the fabric, whereas I'm a little bit more, I want to design this fabric from scratch. That being said, I of course also sometimes get inspired by looking at a piece of fabric, but that's not really how I normally work. Plus, I'm upcycling. My first ever upcycling project, I think, was this patchwork denim skirt. And I made it in 7th or 8th grade. I cannot fully remember. I actually find this extra funny right now as I'm currently working on a patchwork denim boiler suit. It is all coming back full circle 25 years later. I know I have some old photos of the skirt somewhere, but I sadly couldn't find any of them, so I sketched out the skirt from memory for you. Overall, I'm really proud of my first upcycling project. I think the patches turned out really well, but I could have really used a better pair of jeans on top. Maybe a little bit more of a classic jean style rather than some stretch jeans from 1997. I also have decided that when I reach 10,000 subscribers here on my channel, I will show you and react to upcycles I made in my teens. So if you love upcycling, why not subscribe? For me, upcycling was a really good learning tool and experience for me as an inspiring fashion designer. By deconstructing clothes, you learn how clothes are constructed. And I do really recommend everyone who is interested in learning garment construction to at least deconstruct clothes, even if you're not an upcycler. I think it is really important to deconstruct some clothes and see how they were made. And another benefit with me upcycling my own wardrobe was that I could try things out and experiment without feeling like I wasted some fancy, expensive fabric. I truly believe that upcycling was a big part of me finding my personal style. By being a teenager in the early 2000s with a limited budget as well as a limited clothing selection, we didn't have as many fast fashion stores as we have today, and online stores were really in its infancy. So you had to really resort to be creative with what was available to you. And upcycling was one way for me to do just that. I also wonder if I was a teenager today and had all these fast fashion stores available to me, as well as this abundant selection of online shops, would I have started Upcycle? Would I have been as creative as I was? I don't know. Sometimes I actually think that an abundant selection does not really equal abundant creativity. And I think that's why upcycling can be such a creative act, because we are working within the limitations of the garment that we are upcycling. What do you think? Let us all know in a comment down below. Later on during my fashion design studies, I didn't really upcycle very much. And that was mainly because I was focusing on building my skills in other areas, such as pattern cutting, garment construction, learning textile manipulation, machine knitting, etc. But years later on, when I started this YouTube channel, I started to get back into upcycling again. And I have never looked back. Now I mainly upcycle things that I've thrifted or things that my mom has given me, apparently. You can check out this video over here where I'm trying on all the clothes that I want to upcycle. Today, my motivations to upcycles are more around sustainability rather than finding my personal style. Upcycling also really can push your creativity, and I find that if I'm dealing with a creative rut, an upcycling project can be just what I need to do to get going. I would love to hear from you. Why did you start to upcycle? And if you haven't yet started to upcycle, why would you like to upcycle? Let us all know in a comment down below. And until next time, bye!